If I told you that a massive car company just made a huge announcement, but it has literally nothing to do with cars, would you believe me?
I mean, usually you expect a sleek rendering or, a new battery range, something you can actually picture parking in your driveway.
Right. But then Elon Musk drops a tweet, 7 words, no picture, no explanation at all, just Terafab project launches in 7 days. So what is the real logic behind this? Suddenly we aren't talking about a new vehicle. We're looking at this dramatic move to reclaim the entire AI chip supply chain.
Yeah, it's basically taking the literal brain of the operation and just ripping it away from the global manufacturing status quo.
And to figure out what this means for you, we've pulled together a massive stack of sources for today's deep dive. I mean, we are looking through global supply chain analyses, semiconductor financial forecasts, and a few really dense tech op-eds.
Very dense, yeah.
Our mission today is to decode this single tweet. We want to explore the immense financial risks and the massive potential rewards of Tesla's plan to manufacture its own AI brains.
So to understand the sheer magnitude of this shift, we really have to look at how they've operated for the past decade. It's been a classic outsourcing model.
Right.
Tesla designs the architecture for their chips, like the current AI-4 or the upcoming AI-5. But they hand the actual physical manufacturing over to dedicated semiconductor foundries, primarily TSMC, the Taiwanese manufacturing giant that literally builds the microscopic chips for the rest of the tech world.
And in the early days, outsourcing made perfect sense, right? Because building a chip factory from scratch is wildly expensive. But that model is kind of hitting a structural ceiling now. Think of TSMC as the most exclusive club in the world. Tesla is basically stuck at the velvet rope behind the ultimate VIPs like Apple, NVIDIA, and AMD.
Right, and the thing about this club is you can't just brave the bouncer to get in.
Exactly.
TSMC operates on strict node capacity allocation. They map out their factory space and their production schedules years in advance. So even if you show up with unlimited cash, the physical space to print those transistors is already spoken for by the time you realize you need it.
So why the sudden desperate need for all this capacity? I mean, what is changing in their product lineup that makes waiting in line impossible?
It comes down to the sheer volume of data processing required for their upcoming roadmap. You have full self-driving, the Cybercab, the Optimus humanoid robots, and xAI's Grok. Training the neural networks for these systems requires massive parallel processing.
Because they aren't just writing standard code anymore.
No, not at all. They are feeding millions of hours of video and physical interaction data into giant supercomputers to teach these machines how to think independently. That requires an astronomical number of physical chips working simultaneously.
So the compute bottleneck isn't just about budget, it's constrained by the laws of physics and factory time. Which brings us to Terafab. We've all heard of the Gigafactory, which solved their battery bottleneck, but Tera implies a 1,000-fold leap. Since they can't get into the club, they're basically building their own.
And bringing this entirely in-house is a fascinating strategy. It's akin to a country deciding to print its own currency instead of relying on a foreign central bank.
That's a great way to put it.
By owning the manufacturing, they aim to lock down their hardware costs. They enable incredibly rapid iteration because they control the testing environment, and they guarantee their own supply stability. It's really the Apple playbook on steroids. Think about when Apple ditched Intel for their own M-series chips back in 2020. Mac performance and margins just skyrocketed.
Right, but let's look at the flip side of that massive potential reward. The technical risks of printing your own silicon currency, so to speak, are terrifying. I mean, designing a chip is entirely different from successfully manufacturing one.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest hurdle is managing chip yields. When you manufacture at the nanometer scale, a single speck of dust ruins an entire silicon wafer.
Wow, just one speck of dust.
Just one. Established players like TSMC have spent decades perfecting the chemistry and physics to ensure a high percentage of the chips they print actually work. Tesla is starting from scratch here. Achieving a profitable yield rate is going to be a grueling, highly expensive learning curve.
And speaking of expensive, this is where I get hung up on the financials. The sources estimate this facility will require up to $25 billion in capital expenditure. That's upfront cash, just to build and equip the factories. Can their free cash flow, the money they actually have left over to run the day-to-day business, absorb a $25 billion hit without suffocating their core car manufacturing operations?
Well, the financial burden is staggering, but the immediate threat isn't a sudden $25 billion wire transfer today. It's the timeline. People see a tweet saying, launches in 7 days,
Yeah.
and they picture finished AI chips rolling off a conveyor belt next week.
Right.
But the reality of semiconductor manufacturing is much slower. That March 21st launch is almost certainly just a groundbreaking ceremony, a silver shovel in the dirt.
Right, they're pouring concrete, not printing silicon.
Exactly. True volume production, where they're actually getting those high yields of usable chips, won't happen until at least 2027. They're playing a very long game.
So what does this all mean for you? It's a stark reminder that building a true, untouchable strategic moat often requires deeply painful, long-term capital risks. You have to be willing to bleed cash for years before seeing a return.
It is the ultimate test of delayed gratification in business.
It really is. Which leaves you with a fascinating dilemma to chew on, and it goes beyond just the tech itself. Think about the geopolitics. If you successfully build Terafab in the US, you are insulating yourself from massive geopolitical risks. By moving your chip manufacturing away from Taiwan, you protect your supply chain from global shocks. But is that security worth betting $25 billion of your company's future? Or do you play it safe, outsource, and focus your cash strictly on the CyberCab rollout?
It's a tough call. And as we wrapped up, a quick reminder. The above content represents our personal deep dive into the business logic. It does not constitute any form of investment advice. Markets carry risks, so please ensure you do your own independent research before making any decisions.
The line for the world's most exclusive club is only getting longer, and the cost of building your own VIP section just went up to $25 billion. We'll be watching to see who actually gets past the velvet rope.